The situation of Russian soldiers fighting in the Ukraine-Russia war is getting stranger every day. Russia, which entered the war thinking that it would definitely win the war, is experiencing an unprecedented low motivation in its history. The developments in the Russian army have become a global news agenda with the spread of videos taken by soldiers. So the question is, what is the reason for the extremely unexpected progress of the war? Which posts by Russian soldiers stand out? Russian soldiers recently shared a video on Telegram and shared what is happening in the army. Russian soldiers were seen to be quite angry while shooting the video. Speaking in front of a train, which is estimated to be full of military ammunition, Russian soldiers expressed their opposition to war by shouting slogans. They showed a clear stance against Putin by raising their weapons in the air. The video, in which the slogans "We don't want to die for Putin" were heard a lot, was shared on many social media channels in a short time. One of the most striking things about the video was the soldiers' attire. First of all, none of them were wearing armor and helmets. Their uniforms were not uniforms. It was obvious that the weapons in their hands were quite old and worn out. It was learned that the weapons of the Russian soldiers were old-model handguns. They showed everyone how bad the army was by raising the old-model weapons, which were very dangerous and difficult to use. One of the soldiers approached the camera and stated that the mechanism of the weapon in his hands was frozen. The video also showed that the soldiers were forced to serve the army in very difficult winter conditions. The soldiers collectively held their thermometers towards the camera. They said that it was very cold, but that the management did not provide them with appropriate clothing. According to the Russian soldiers, almost all the equipment supplied to the army is useless. They have neither clothes to protect themselves from the cold, nor weapons to defend themselves. The video of the Russian soldiers caused a sensation in the Russian media. When Russian citizens saw the condition of the soldiers, they wanted to speed up their relief efforts. Previously, money was collected from citizens to help the army. Russian citizens were trying to deliver aid, such as boots and clothes, to the army. Russian soldiers, whose needs were not adequately met by the Kremlin administration, had to get help from citizens. However, everyone is very bored with this situation. Russian citizens do not want more soldiers to die. People are pressuring the government to end the war. This video shot by Russian soldiers had caused tensions between the public and the government to rise. Some Russian journalists said that the train in front of which the video soldiers were standing was used for the transportation of military equipment. Allegedly, the soldiers stopped the train and seized it. This is because they were deprived of food and clothes. Stray soldiers were forced to satisfy their needs through vandalism, and the lack of authority over them allows them to act more freely. The Russian media is reporting that the soldiers who filmed this video have deserted the army. Russian citizens are outraged by this inconceivable disorder. At every opportunity, they said that Putin is responsible for the poverty and chaos brought by the war. Russian citizens are harshly criticizing the administration for not being able to provide even the basic needs of the army. What they really want is an end to the war, which has forced both the Russian people and the soldiers in the army to pay a huge price. Putin, on the other hand, has started to take a harsher stance against this situation. He declared the soldiers who reported the problems in the army as traitors. The Russian leader's description of the soldiers as traitors caused a major crisis. The public thinks what the soldiers are doing is justified. They say the real traitor is Putin, who failed to take good care of his army. Analysts say that citizens believe that Putin is continuing the war for his own personal interests. They predict that the more people refer to this claim, the more the uprising will grow. Since the beginning of the Ukraine-Russia war, Russia's total military losses have reached 105,000. Everyone in Russia now thinks that this senseless war must end. Allegedly, winning this war will only serve Putin to prove his own power. Soldiers continue to die for Putin's political career. Putin, on the other hand, ignores the defeat in the war. He hides the real data from his people, convincing them that the war is about losing. But thanks to the data published by the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense, Putin has been proven to be lying. Putin no longer has any answers to the allegations. Putin has never faced such a huge defeat in his political career. His biggest fear now is that the defeat will be decisive and irreversible. It is only a matter of time before Putin is prosecuted for the casualties and dead soldiers in the war. At the moment, he has some control over the judiciary and the media, but he is about to lose this authority. This is because even the staunchest Putin supporters are no longer supporting him because of his insistence on fighting. For the first time in Russia, the possibility of an investigation of Putin has been raised. Until now, he has characterized the conflicts that broke out after the invasion of Ukrainian territory as special military operations. According to the Russian constitution, it is a criminal offense to describe these conflicts as war. This law was enacted by Putin. However, the Russian leader violated the law that he himself had enacted, committing the crime of treason. In his press statement, he used the word war to refer to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. After this press statement, Nikita Yuferev, a Russian politician who has adopted an opposition view, publicly demanded Putin's prosecution. According to Nikita Yuferev, Putin broke his own laws when he called Russia's incursion into Ukrainian territory a war. Harshly criticizing Putin, the opposition politician accused Putin of fraud. Stating that he will take the matter up to the judiciary, he says that the Russian judiciary would deal with the issue. Eyes are now turned to the judiciary. Will Putin's absolute authority and unjudgeable personality be broken in Russia? Everyone wants to know the answer to this question. According to analysts, Putin's long leadership has now reached its final stage. It is no longer possible to talk about Putin's old authority. It is estimated that Putin will not be able to defend himself against the allegations in the event of an investigation. This is the biggest event in Russian politics in the last 20 years. Putin, the unshakable authority, is now waiting in fear and anxiety for the day when he will be removed from office. Putin's leadership is on the agenda not only in Russia but also around the world. Ukraine is successfully using social media to spread the word about what is happening in the war. Ukrainian army drones are constantly recording Russian soldiers. It has become impossible for Putin to lie about the war data. Russian people are seeing the truth through social media. Recently, retired U.S. General John Spencer's participation in a radio program became an agenda on social media. Spencer, who made extremely striking statements in the program, pointed out the gravity of the Russian army. Spencer stated that the war will reach its climax in the summer of 2023, and then it will be resolved. According to Spencer, Putin failed to successfully implement his plan to invade and violate Ukraine. Now he cannot give up the war because he has to win it, for his personal interests and reputation. Spencer said openly on the program that Putin does not care about the dead soldiers. The former general disagrees with the opinion of many analysts that the war will last a long time. According to him, Putin is clearly trying to prolong the war in order to restore the strength of the army. But this plan will not work. 2023 will be a very difficult year for the Russians. Ukraine has the support of Europe and the US in particular. The whole world sees that Ukraine is right, so Putin is in for a tough time. What do you think about the social media posts of Russian soldiers? Do you think the situation of the army will improve? Will the revolts of the citizens lead to Putin's prosecution? How long do you think the war will continue? Will Putin continue to be the leader after the war? Please share your opinions with us.